Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now live, and today I am really excited because I am joined by two absolutely amazing people and just awesome, phenomenal filmmakers, Kiah Clingman and David Fortune. Welcome to a conversation with. My name is Floyd Marshall. I'm your humble host, and as always, I'm joined by the best Okema T Moore, my amazing co-host. Okema, how you doing? Welcome, welcome, everyone.
Hey guys,
Thank
welcome
you
to a
so
conversation
much.
with. I am your
Yeah.
co-host Okema T Moore, and I am so happy because I have my family in the house.
Yes.
Like we have, in this festival run, we have become family at this point. Okay.
Yes.
So
We are so happy to
today,
be here.
today we're going to be talking about the amazing award-winning, multi-award-winning film Color Book, written by David Fortune, produced by Kiah Clingman and a host of others. And today I got to watch that film, and I just have to say that film was absolutely amazing. Oftentimes you hear a lot of things about award-winning films, and you're like, oh, okay. But everything that people have said about this film was so true, and it was just a beautiful piece of work. I'm not going to talk too much because I really want to get into it with these two amazing filmmakers. So one of the questions that I normally like to ask my guests is how you guys actually started in this business.
Yeah. Kai, you want to jump in on that one? I'll follow up.
Sure. How we got started in the business. So I actually started out as an actress many years ago. I won't tell my age, but and I like to say that producing really found me. I was working on a web series back in 2017. I was the lead of that series, and I ended up coming on as the actual producer of the series. And
Kai, you muted.
You went out.
went mute. You muted.
okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we hear you guys.
Okay, good. Sorry,
No worries.
My speaker, it does it sometimes. Okay. Yeah, producing really just found me, and I've been working as a filmmaker and ended up even transitioning to directing a few years ago. And David found me, and we've been on this beautiful journey together now for 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. Felt like 5, but 2.
Feels like 10, maybe.
Who's counting?
Yeah.
For myself, it started back at Morehouse College.
Come on. The house.
Yeah, Morehouse in the building. Y'all already know. But I was a history major, and my roommate came outside the class and he said, "Hey, I'm taking this course where all we do is watch movies." And I was like, "Really? You mean to tell me I could just take a class and just watch movies and get an A? Like, sign me up." However, that turned out to be one of the more difficult courses, simply because I thought we was going to watch like The Dark Knight, Transformers and all those good, but it turned out we actually studied the history of cinema, and we watched movies going back to like 1906. But it wasn't
show days.
Yes, even before him.
Right.
Even before him. But that class taught me about Oscar Micheaux and Paul Robeson and the history of cinema, and also Black people's contribution to filmmaking. And it wasn't until I watched this film called Bicycle Thief, which is an Italian neorealism film about a father and a son going on a journey to find their bike, that I was truly like moved to actually tell stories. Because even though that film was in black and white, it was set in Italy and made in the 1940s, I still found commonalities with those storylines and those perspectives. And I said, you know what? I want to move people like this film moved me, And then my journey to filmmaking started from there. And so I moved out to LA for grad school to go to Loyola Marymount University. And, I just continued just to work at the craft until we get to where we are today, honestly.
Yeah. And I love that David went through, he got a degree in filmmaking. And I think I'm on the flip side with me, I am pretty much self-taught, but got to you know, be mentored and learn so much from incredible producers, you know, that are working in the business now. So
I love that. I know, Kiah, you and I have a very similar track. Started as actresses, moved into producing, moved into directing.
We wear all the hats and doing all the things. Multi-hyphenates. That is
people like, oh, you wanted to. I'm like, nobody starts out wanting to do all the things. It's necessity. And then you recognize that you're good at one of those things and it snowballs from there. But talk to us. So I know today, Floyd, you got to watch the film for the first time. I saw the film at the Tribeca premiere.
Yep.
I had
premiere.
I had gone to you guys' Tribeca premiere. I was there with Terry J. Vaughn, who was also in the film. Yeah. And it was, I was so moved. I think that, you know, with social media and the advent of social media and how it's expanded and what have you, I feel like people's attention spans are so short. And so with that, a lot of filmmakers dive into this thing of everything moving fast, just happening. It's all the things. And the color book is kind of that. Remember in the beginning of the pandemic when everything slowed down and you were nervous and you were a little afraid, but you could just, there was one point where it was just nice to breathe.
Yeah.
I mean, inside, because we knew.
Yeah.
But like, the color book for me is a cinematic, deep breath.
Ooh, I love that.
And I feel like everything, not everything, but a lot of things that we watch, you're breathing so shallow, if not panting, because everything is happening so fast. And in the color book, the pacing and the slow burn of it, it's like a slow burn, but every flame and flicker matters, right?
Yeah.
And so like, talk to me about making something, and this is it sounds very parallel to the Italian bicycle film that you like fell in love with, right? I'm guessing that was very much your a big part of your inspiration. But talk to me about making something that you knew from the gate was different.
That's such a great question. And honestly, you know, we've been on so many panel discussions and interviews. I've never been asked that.
Because I don't ask the questions that people can watch you on any other thing to get I may be a co-host, but I've been a journalist since I learned how to type on a typewriter. I'll put it there.
Okay.
Add journalist to your other hat too.
I'm like,
I love it. No, you know, I always think about it's not about being different, it's about being true. And I knew that this film wasn't about how fast do we get to the journey or how fast do we get to the destination, but how patient we take our time in the journey. It's about moments. This film is about taking in the moments that we often overlook. And I wanted the audience to settle themselves in it and find appreciation in those small things that we take for granted, whether it's riding a bus or coloring or spending time with loved ones. We skip these moments in life, and I just wanted the audience to settle in it instead. And so whether people liked it or not, or found appreciation for it, I said, this is what I'm going to deliver. And I'm okay with you feeling a little bit angst. I'm okay with you feeling like, hey, let's move this along, because this film is going to teach you, nope, let's be patient. Nope, let's be still. And you're going to find your way through it. And so that's just come from making a lot of short films in my previous experiences and understanding how does audience respond to certain things, and then feeling confident to say, you know what, this is the experience I want to take the audience through, whether it, you know, pushes them or whether it challenges them, that's a good thing. So I knew from the get-go that this was the type of movie I want to make. And if people loved it, great. If people didn't, great. But this is the experience you're going to have.
And David is so meticulous with his process as a director. He knew exactly how he wanted every frame to look. And he moved that way, like with intention and purpose. And not every director is like that. So it's beautiful. It's intimate. It's every frame is essentially a portrait. And that's where he got his inspiration from as well. So I think having that clarity is so important as a director in order to get something as beautiful as we did. And that showed not just when he was on set, but we spent months location scouting, and we took our time with that. I think how you do one thing is how you do everything. We've heard that a lot too. And David is definitely that type of man, and infused that from the top down, like as a leader, and that kind of trickled down into how we did everything. And as a producer, it was very difficult to do that at times because we were on such a time crunch. So it was, our job, Okema, is to protect the director's vision, which could be hard at times because we were dealing with, we had a year to make the film. So that was already a challenge. And then we ran into 2 strikes. So that condensed our timeline even more. So much so that we ended up having a total of like 3 to 4 months to actually make the film and edit the film and deliver it before our world premiere at Tribeca. So it was this dance of like trying to get things done as a producer, but also like not compromise on the integrity of the film and make sure that we're still able to stick to David's vision.
And that's something many people don't talk about, even specifically with directors, is having a team of producers who support the vision. Because oftentimes we could get lost in making our days. We could get lost in hitting the schedule marks and, beating the deadlines, and we lose sight into the overall vision. And with Color Book, I was blessed to have producers who supported, the vision of the project, that, hey, this is a delicate, soft, patient movie, and I got to shoot it as such. And that's very rare oftentimes, where you have producers who sometimes will, go away from the logical thinking that we just got to rush and shoot and make things happen, but focus on, hey, we're trying to make a great film here. And I was blessed to have a good team around me, honestly.
Oh, wait. Okay. Now
you muted.
Because my tenants was making noise in the hallway. I didn't want it to bleed into the audio. No, I love that. I think that, as a producer, yes, it is our job to get this thing done. But as a director, it is also our job to adhere to our vision and to like fight for that. And as a producer, you have to understand that it's also your job to fight for his vision.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's times where people don't recall the fact that, it is a marriage. The director, producer, and then there's also the types of producers. I'm like, Kiah, I'm gathering that you were the creative producer, or one of the creative producers in this project. And so with that, like, there's script notes and there's like feedback and there's a trust there and a communication and a language, which becomes a shorthand as the process goes.
Exactly.
But you talked about Tribeca and like the time crunch. Can you tell the people that don't know, that may be under the rock, why you had a time crunch? Because, when somebody hands you $1 million.
Yeah, David, do you want to talk about that process and I can kind of finish it out?
For sure. So, after I wrote the script, the fall of 2022, I submitted to the AT&T Untold Stories program, which is associated with Tribeca Film Festival. Or Tribeca Festival, that's the new name now. So we were accepted as finalists to come to the Untold Stories pitch competition, and pitch for our film for $1 million, and we won. It was something where Kiah and I had to stand in front of an audience of 100 to 200 people, and about, I think, 5 to 6 judges, and also submit our pitch video along with that. So it wasn't just, hey, we're going to talk to these people about our movie, but we actually had to make a pitch video that was 10 minutes long that kind of visualized how we plan to make Color Book. And we ended up winning the competition. And then from that moment, the clock starts, where
literally the next
year to make the film, and premiere the film at the next Tribeca Film Festival. Not competition, but event. And what was challenging about that, because that's already challenging in itself, right? To make a film on $1 million budget, which isn't easy.
People hear $1 million and they swear that
think it's a lot of money.
It's like-
And what they don't realize is once you have $1 million, it costs more
Yes.
because
Yes.
the expectation
Exactly.
is higher. You can't just shoot in your homegirl's bedroom.
Exactly.
No, at all. Not at all. And then
We learned that very quickly.
well, we ran into some issues when it came to the strikes, which we wanted to back and support. We want to back our
Absolutely.
fellow writers and actors as well, because Kiah, she comes from both backgrounds, and we want to honor those different unions and make sure that we stand alongside and in support. But what that did was it pushed our filming deadline to January 26th. And we had to deliver the film by May 17th.
The same year, yes.
Yeah, in the same year. And those create challenges. However, again, when you have a team that's aligned and we're saying that, you know what, we're going to do this. We believe in all of our talents. We believe in all our abilities. We can make this happen. It becomes to a point where it's like, all right, there's no mountain that we can't climb, right? Because we're all doing this together, not individuals. And so that was a challenge that we faced. And that was a challenge we overcame. We delivered the film by May 19th, but we still got it in. We needed 2 extra days.
Tribeca. Thank you for the extension.
We needed 2 extra days. It was like, give us 2 extra days. But for the most part, we was able to complete it in a year despite the strikes happening. And also despite, again, the typical production challenges when it comes to like locations, getting cast, crew, all of that. So we're really proud of the film overall.
Yeah, very proud. I think David summed that up well. And just going back to the prep process before we actually pitched it, Tribeca, like David and I actually rehearsed and, created a script. Yeah, Floyd, we like rehearsed for maybe a month straight before we actually, got to New York and pitched. And we even did like a test run in front of our friends and family and had them act like they were the judges and ask us random questions. But we wanted to make sure that we were prepared. And a 10-minute pitch video, it sounds like it may be easy, but think of what it takes to make a short. Like that's essentially, we shot for 3 days, and we wanted the pitch to be representative of what the feature was going to look like. And so we wanted to give them a true taste. So we went all out. We hired an amazing DP, a local Atlanta DP named Trevor May. And he really made Atlanta come to life. Atlanta is a character in the film. And we wanted to give, our audience a taste of what that was going to look like. And it's David and I both, talking about the project in various ways, but we also are showcasing how beautiful Atlanta is. Because so often we do see Atlanta portrayed in film, but never in the way that Color Book is. It's really a love letter. Shots aren't shaky. They're not handheld. Everything is composed and beautiful, because that's what we think of Atlanta. This is, our home, and it's David's home. He was born and raised in Atlanta, and we wanted to make sure that we showed that in the pitch video as well.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all came here and said, what you're not going to do is say that all we are strip clubs and lemon pepper wings.
No, you know what?
I do like lemon pepper wings.
I do like lemon pepper. I'm a lemon pepper wet. I'm a hot lemon pepper wet fan. I get it. But no, I love that. I know, Floyd, you said you had a whole bunch of questions, but I just want to quickly say,
no, please, no.
I completely understand how. One, congratulations on that win. It was huge. 2, you guys set the stage and the standard and the aspiration for so many of us that came behind you, because we were a finalist in Untold Stories last year, right behind you guys.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my film Ibrahim, we were part of the 10, but we didn't make the 5 for the pitch.
Congratulations.
So Tribeca's been an amazing partner, and they've been pushing us in other places. And we won the Canva grant at Tribeca Film Festival, which was why I was there to go with Terry for you guys' premiere, because we were there because we were in the festival.
Oh, wow.
But I say all that to say, as a finalist in Untold Stories, literally the year behind you, all they did was talk about y'all. All they did was talk, and I mean, like, in a good way, like you guys set a bar, because you weren't the first Untold Story winners, but baby, y'all are some of the most successful, right? And so I'm just saying, the facts are the facts, man. And so, you know, I think it's so awesome to hear how serious you took it and how, you know, wonderful it is. And like I said, I look at you guys in so many parallels for me, because like I'm the producer of Ibrahim. My writer director is a gentleman. And so, and we've been friends for like he literally, I met him on the very first film I did as an actress back in 2007.
What's his name?
So Teron Jones. His pieces are all called it's a motherfucker Jones original.
I love that. I love that.
That's literally how, and it's spelled motherfucker.
Where's he from?
New York.
New York. Okay.
Okay. Wait, I'm sorry. The Bronx.
Okay.
That should
the Bronx.
explain
Oh
it.
yeah.
That'll explain it. But no, I congratulate you guys on that and how seriously you took it, and clearly that is why you walked away with the $1 million, right? And so I just, you know, I get it. I love it. Floyd, take it.
Well, yeah, this has been amazing. And it's interesting how you said, you know, they were the talk of the town when you were there. But when you're entrusted with something and you do well by that trust, people take notice of that and they remember that. But David, in one interview, and then I'm going to get to my question, you said something very interesting about that $1 million that you won. And when you found out that you won, you weren't surprised because you had written it down.
Yeah.
And I want you guys to talk about the power of writing it down and speaking it into existence, because I'm a big believer in energy. And it's interesting that Okema said that they were finalists the year before. I'm a big believer in energy. And although you guys didn't know each other at the time, the energy that all of you were putting out was basically drawing you guys together, and here we are. But David, can you talk about when you guys found out that you won, and you know, you said, well, you know, I wasn't surprised because again, you said you had actually written it down a couple of months before that you had won the prize.
Yeah. I mean, for me, that was totally true. I remember I was sitting in my bedroom. I often pray about the things that I feel like is put into my heart. And, you know, life and death is in the power of the tongue. And the first thing I said to myself was, we're winning this. You're going to win this. And I just repeat it over and over and over. And then I wrote it down, right? Because you got to make sure that's stamped. You got to make sure it's documented. I could show you, I could pull out my journal somewhere around here and like show it to you. Because to me, I knew that you got to stamp it. Once you stamp it, everything flows along with it. And it's also important as a leader, right, that people believe in you because you have a sense of confidence of what you're trying to do. So if I don't believe we're going to win, how am I expecting Kiah to believe we're going to win? How am I expecting my other producers to believe that we're going to win? Then why are we all doing this? So first and foremost, I had to have confidence in myself and also have assurance from God that this was for me. And now it's just my job to go out and execute. And so now it goes into, you know, faith without works is dead. You got to now put in the work. You got to now create the script. You got to now do your research about how you're going to shoot it, where you're going to shoot it, who's your team is going to look like, what is your team going to look like, and put all those things together. But it starts with the sense of belief, but we also got to make sure we hold ourselves accountable when it comes to, you know, doing the actionable work to get something that you have belief and faith inside of.
First of all, I'm not surprised because when I was at the party after the premiere, I saw your mama pull out her oil and lay hands on Will.
See that?
No. Let me tell you something. I sent that recording to Will. I recorded that moment.
Wow.
Because baby mama went in that purse and she pulled out that vial of oil and she rubbed them hands. Because you know, once the elder do this, like whatever you think is gonna happen. And so I am not seeing that from your mom at an after party. Absolutely does not deny me the idea that you have written the vision, made it plain so a herald can take it and run with it. Does not surprise me at all.
Yeah,
Does
my
not
If you
mom-
go back and play the video or look at the pictures from when we won, like I have the most expressive face. I'm like doubled over, like, oh, and David is just like proud. Like really, if you go look at the picture, he's like proud and like grounded and just no, like he did know. And I asked him after, and he said, yeah, he said he knew we were gonna win, and like.
But I love that. Like,
yeah.
I feel like as producers moving into the director space, that's what you need. Like
Yeah.
when we won HBO, Haria said the same thing. She was like, "Oh, I knew we were gonna win,"
Yeah.
and she was like, "I knew that." She was like, "I knew that."
Yeah.
And when you are coming right, because the thing about it is, your footsteps in the snow aren't covered by any new flurries. Kiah's right behind inside of them, right? Like that is just what it is. And so your assurances and your patterns and your faith and your practices and your being who you say you are is then available to her to be like, well, you know what I mean? Like spirits find each other. Oh, I'm aligned with this gentleman and this is what he's doing. And I know the gifts and the talents that God has given me. So, you gonna go okay, I'm right here. I'm right here. That is how that's how it should be. That's how it should be. And so when I watch tumultuous director-producer relationships, I'm always like, the unfortunate part is the film's gonna fail, and both y'all are too. Like it's a very unfortunate thing. It's like watching a miserable couple. It's like watching the couple hates each other and they just together because they can't afford to be apart. That's what a director produced. And running the BTFC with Haria and being over our producer labs, I have seen it all. I've moderated it all.
Wow.
Between directors and producers that had tension. It's ugly.
Yeah, that's not good. And it permeates throughout the set, and
it's viral.
Your work ends up, suffering for that. Unlike this movie that I saw today. And the question that I had for the both of you, Kiah, if you were on the set that day, the chemistry between Lucky and Mason was absolutely beautiful. But there was one scene that really stuck out for me, and that was the scene when they were on the train platform and they were going over the words. They got to that one word, and the father said, "Come here." And he laid his head on his shoulder, and that jumped out, and I started writing. So my question is, did that just happen naturally? And if it did, what was the reaction of everyone filming, watching that happen?
Man, it takes me back to, even the audition, because that was the audition scene. So, and Kiah could jump in on this right afterwards. We brought Jeremiah, who plays Mason, in for a chemistry read with Will Catlett. And one of the scenes that we chose was that reading scene because we wanted to see organic chemistry, right? How do you, call and respond? How do you engage with each other? And so in the scene, if I was to show you the audition tapes, that moment wasn't there. All Mason or Jeremiah was supposed to do was just scoot closer. The laying his head on his shoulders was never part of the script. It was never a part of my direction. Up until we got to the day of shooting, and they going through, the scene, they going through the words, they going through the drawings inside the book. And Will said, come in, come closer. And Jeremiah laid his head on his shoulders. And that was really due to their comfortability with each other. Because actually, to be honest with you, that was the second day of shooting. So it wasn't even on day 20. That was day 2.
It was day 2. Yep. Wow. That's what I was going to say.
Will and Jeremiah, from the moment that they met, they were both so comfortable with each other. I remember Will had his arm around Jeremiah as he was talking to their parents, and they was just like chilling like they were father and son. Yeah. Like it was something that was organic. So honestly, that had nothing to do with me. That had every bit to do with the connection that Will and Jeremiah naturally have without me, to be honest with you. So he felt comfortable laying his head on his shoulder and just engaging in that fashion.
Yeah.
I love
And
that.
and just a quick aside about Jeremiah, and I mean, we know Will is the GOAT. He's incredible. You can see it if you watch his performance. But Jeremiah, his joy, his zeal, it's infectious, and that's just who he is as a person. His mother's name is Joy, actually, and I'm like, you just pass that right on to your son.
Yeah.
He's such a beautiful human being, a beautiful spirit. So I love that moment too, Floyd. And we've never talked about that. We've never gotten that question in a panel or
y'all
comment.
good. Y'all good.
Y'all are good on that scene, but like that has always been one of my favorite moments. And I was there on set for that moment. So oftentimes I was in the office because Kristen and I, our other producer, and shout out to Kristen Nuno and Autumn Bailey Ford, our other producers. And we have a whole slew of other producers. I can do a shout out later, but we were in the office and like going back and forth, working as UPM and line producing. But I was there to witness that, and I just was like trying not to squeal because you could just feel Jeremiah really leaning into Mason and just feeling like Will was his father, and it was beautiful.
I want to give additional shout out to two people. Our cinematographer Nick Summerer, who also captured that moment on screen. Because Nick Summerer, he's also a father himself. So he understands, he shot this film with that spirit in mind. There's so many times I told him, hey, just frame it like this and we're good. But he knew when to pan down or tilt down, tilt up, pan across, because he felt the emotions of Lucky. And in that moment, he was leaning into his father, essence, right? Because that shot was just supposed to be on Lucky's face, but he kind of pulled back to make it more of a tighter two shot between their faces together. And so I just really want to commend Nick Summerer for his approach in capturing that moment, because that was just supposed to be a close-up on Lucky, but he turned it into a tighter two shot between Lucky and Mason. And then also my editor, Oriana Sadu, because in that shot, she doesn't cut back and forth. She just let us sit on that image for a good minute, minute and a half, right? Because in my brain, I was just going to cut from Will's face to Mason's face and hold it there. But in our rough edit, she just let it breathe and just said, we don't need a cut. Let's just sit here and let the audience take in this moment. And however long it runs, let it run for, because we're here. So I just wanted to give a special shout out to those two collaborators for bringing that moment to life. And
shout out to you for letting it happen, because directing can be an egomaniacal monster if you let it. Being in charge. Some people don't want to direct to bring a vision. Some people, it's like when people don't want to be the president to actually run the thing, they just want to be in charge. Something like
another podcast.
But some people want to direct just to be the boss and be bossy. And so, for you to have the fortitude and the vision and the sense, I mean, let's call it what it is, the sense, to allow your collaborators to be collaborators and say, you know what, this actually gives it. And then for you to be like, you know what, you're right. I didn't think about that. That you're right. Because it's a full contact sport. Filmmaking is a full, and it requires the entire team. Yeah. It is the one contact sport that needs everybody, whether you on the bench, on the field, if you the water boy, whatever you are absolutely necessary, because it's always that random, I didn't think about it thing that random, like Jeremiah leaned his head over onto Will. You didn't direct him to do that, but it was the moment. And so he did it. And then your DP closed in on that too. And your editor stayed in that space. And your producer was like, I know we got it. She, you know what I mean? Like you let everybody help you bolster to make this big thing. And so shout out to you for being a visionary, to know when to listen and when to move on. That's a lot of people do not honor that as directors and know that like the the best directors are collaborators, not auteurs that deal in only their vision.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And you know what? I know that when he saw that shot, when your cinematographer saw that shot, he was like, "Oh, I got it." Because when I saw it, I said, "Oh, here we go."
But shout out to Jeremiah.
Yes.
Having met him in person, like having had the honor to have met him in person and partied with him, we danced.
Yes. Oh, he loves dancing.
Jeremiah was the belle of the ball. Okay, at this after party, he danced with all the girls. Jeremiah was in the middle of the floor,
player.
dancing with Terry, with me, with Kiah, with his mama, his family. He was dancing with Don Buchwald's daughter.
Yeah.
Jeremiah was dancing
with Julia.
Everybody. He turned, but you could see how proud he was of himself.
Yes.
And this is his first like feature, right?
Yeah, it's his first
project.
Wow. And yes, his first time acting, and he is what we all call him, and what he calls himself, a superstar.
Absolutely, but he is.
Yes,
absolutely,
he is.
Absolutely, and I love that. I love the autonomy that it gives him. You know what I mean? Like we just had the first young lady with Down syndrome graduate from law school recently. There's a young lady with Down syndrome who she's the first one to win a Webby for her own podcast. There's such a the DS community. You know, I remember growing up watching. Remember Corky Floyd?
Yes.
That was my first introduction into someone with Down syndrome on television. And so to see how the community has been upheld and put forth, and like even for Jeremiah's NAACP Image nomination.
Yes.
He is the first actor with Down syndrome to be nominated for an NAACP award. Because I know the year before, Aaron Kingsley Adetola was the youngest actor to be nominated in that same category for 2001.
Wow. Wow.
Really quickly, Joy is in the audience.
Yes, Joy
and Terrence. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see him.
His parents,
they're incredible.
Are so amazing. But see, that was why I believe from the outside looking in, that's why Jeremiah could lean into Will so well, because he came from a place in a home where love was love. It wasn't survival.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't looking for a father because he has one that's wonderful. But he was able to recognize another good one and be able to lean into that comfort and that fatherly energy that he lives with every day.
Yeah.
And there's a difference. And so that's why, like, even when you're casting, you got to look into the life of, especially in a child, like, what does that home life look like? Because that's what your set gonna look like.
No, and I want to even throw a shout out to Will on this, because when we did the chemistry read, I asked Will, I was like, what do you think? Who you listen to, because we had other kids come in to read with Will, and Will immediately said, "That's my son. That's Jeremiah. That's my son." And we discussed it more. I was like, why do you feel that way? And then he continued to elaborate. And one thing he pointed out, he was like, also Jeremiah's family. He was like, Joy and Terrence, like him as a professional actor, he knows that based off how Jeremiah is raised is how he's also going to conduct himself on set, because there's one thing to be a good actor, but also how do you manage yourself in a set and working environment? That's another thing. Working for kids, working 8 hours, getting there on time, leaving, working with crew, you have to be able to manage that as well, because those things affect the performance. And one thing he looked at, he was like, I was just sitting on the couch talking to his parents, and he says, I feel so much comfort, right? Just in Jeremiah's support system, that I know not only he's going to do well, in the performance realm, but when you put him in an environment, a working environment, he's going to do well with his workmates, whether it's the cinematographer or the gaffer or the sound person. Like Will really, called that out to me, was like, it's just not about his performance, but it's about his support system that's going to lead him to doing a great job. And so shout out to Joy and Terrence.
That's the first time I heard that part of the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Will, he does not go on any stage without giving a special shout out to Joy and Terrence, and just simply saying he watched Terrence, he studied Terrence, him just simply being a father to Jeremiah, and was able to pull so much into the character of Lucky by just watching a father love his son.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're amazing. Joy and I have chatted on social several times. I love her.
I know.
Yeah. And the thing that I took from, watching those two interact was the fact that I didn't see two people acting. I just saw a father and a son.
Yes.
And oftentimes that is so difficult to pull off. But I'm gonna get emotional. When he would look at him, the way he looked at you. Wow, this is the first time I'm getting emotional on my podcast.
Like they say in church, it's all right, baby. Take your time.
But the way he looked at Jeremiah just really struck me, because every time I looked at him, just watching his son, I said, this man is not acting. This man truly loves that young man. And it's interesting because when I looked at an interview with you and him, he actually said, that's my son. And it really came through. So when people watch this movie, I really want you guys to really just sit back and let the film come to you. But more importantly, look at the interplay between Mason and Lucky. And here's the thing. There's not a lot of dialogue. And some of the best moments don't have dialogue, but it's just the proximity and the closeness of Lucky and Mason. So I'm good, man. I'm composed. So could you guys? But that just really, it just filled me up. But can you guys talk about the unspoken language between the two of them? I know you talked about the chemistry auditions, but can you guys talk about just the unspoken bond between Lucky and Mason?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, my approach to Color Book was we're gonna explore joy and grief, but we're not gonna talk about it. We're gonna live through it. What does it look like? What does it feel like to experience joy? What does it look like? What does it feel like to experience grief? And for me, you take away dialogue and now you're in the midst of action. And I think that is a more engaging experience rather than Lucky saying how much he loves Mason, right? But show me that in the action. Show me that by how you hold him. Show me that by how you look at him, right? If you watch the film, you always see that Lucky's holding Mason's hand, and it's not that so much Mason needs it, but that's his way of showing his care for his son, right? In moments you see that Lucky is grieving, but he never says, hey, I miss Tammy or I want Tammy back. But you could just see it. You could feel it through his silence. And I think that's a more emotive experience than talking about love or talking about pain, but how do we physicalize it? So that was something I knew I wanted to explore since, even before writing the script, just thinking about the ideas of like, let's cut out the dialogue and just let's live in the action. And credit to Will and Jeremiah, because they just knew how to play off each other. And so me as a director, all I said was, this is what's happening in the world. Go. We're going to stand back with the camera and simply observe. And however long this take runs, it's going to run. And Kiah knows, I almost got in trouble a few times. Like, David, can you cut this thing? But for me, I'm like, no, I want them to feel comfortable. I want them to live. I want, when they're performing with each other, I don't want them to feel like there's a camera in their face. I want them just to exist in, hey, we're making waffles. All right, cool. Y'all go make waffles. We're just going to chill back. And now we get to capture that moment organically, because it's not meant to, hey, feel this and do that. It's just like, do y'all thing. And we'll just be right here just recording. Whenever you guys done, we'll cut. But again, that comes with a cost. That comes with
a cost of time, a cost of media.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. There was so many times our
Like,
DIT,
sir, we got 2 minutes left on this tape.
exactly, our DIT and first say
Like, Kiah's like,
tap me on the shoulder, like, hey David, we know you're doing your thing, but we're gonna run out of data. But you know what I told him was, hey, I just want my cast to feel comfortable, right? And that's gonna be felt on screen when we watch it later on. And so shout out to Kiah for giving me some breaks.
Yeah, some
Listen,
breaks.
David,
We had our times, but
you, Haria, and Tehran need to just form a Voltron, because that's how they shoot too. Haria is very the same way. Tehran is very the same way.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, but it's the thoughtfulness.
Yeah, it was just like documentary perspective too. That's what I feel like. That's
I felt like I was just the fly on the wall in this whole, like, it was weird. It was this interesting dichotomy of feeling like I was there, but also like I was watching through this really special lens. And so it was like, and I would have to catch it would be a shift in whatever's happening on screen that would take me from the one to the other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was like when he lost him.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to give it away because not totally out yet. But like I was like, oh my God. Or like when, you know, when they were making the bracelets, or like when the car was a limit, like all these different things that, like, it was like I was there. But then there was also moments where I felt like I had this special entry privilege to see this relationship and see this thing happen. And it was so well executed. I know that we are moving into time, so I do want to make sure that we give you guys a minute to tell the people how they can vote for you and what they're voting for, because, you know, I see your lovely background.
Yes.
Kiah, since you're the pitch specialist, you mind taking this one?
Oh gosh, of course. But before we move into that, I also wanted to just say, like, I've learned so much from David too, from a writing perspective, because yes, you know, there was not a lot of dialogue in even in the script, and he really allowed these characters to find themselves through these moments, through these beats. And I've taken that into my scripts. Like, David looked at a script that I wrote.
Congratulations
a couple months ago.
My pretty vagina, who's out here winning things and grants and stuff.
Yes.
Thank you. But no, really, like, I had a script that was, you know, dialogue heavy, and David looked over and he was like, all of this, like, let's just show them. Let's show these two characters just being. And I was like, that's exactly what we did with Color Book. Of course. Like, and it allows you to, you know, this is a visual medium, not, you know, so we're able to create richer moments by simply just like letting these characters live. And I think we were able to discover more. And that's why that moment, you know, on the train, Floyd, like, was so beautiful and organic, because we really just like let these characters discover new moments. So, but yes, Color Book, first of all, Color Book has just been on a roll. We are so excited. So shout out to all of our cast and our crew who has, you know, been supporting us on this journey. The last 6 months have been incredible. We've been in multiple film festivals. We've won multiple awards. Recently, David was selected as top 10 directors to watch by Variety.
Whoop, whoop.
Yes, which we are very, very proud of. And we also are nominated for 2 NAACP Image Awards. One, which you talked about earlier, Mr. Jeremiah Daniels, the first child with Down syndrome to be nominated ever in history for an NAACP Image Award. And we are just beyond proud of him and his family. And our second award is for Mr. David Fortune, the Breakthrough Creative Award. And so we just want to do everything we can to support them, because obviously they are a reflection of Color Book and our entire team. So this is a win for all of us. And we want to make sure that we vote. So you all have a chance to vote. So let me get the exact website. And can we put it in the chat as well?
Please put it in the chat. And then
We'll have it. We'll
put it in the
the
show
edit,
notes.
right?
Yeah, in the
Yep.
show
Okay.
notes. Yes.
Yeah.
So if I don't have
I
that,
don't know how to
can
do
you
it on
guys
here,
send it
but-
to me so I can make sure that I can get
Yeah.
that to my web manager so she can insert that into the show notes? Because we want to have everybody voting.
Okay. I just put it in the private chat, the link.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's vote.naacpimageawards.net.
And go down to motion picture
Yeah.
for
You already know.
and go look for your categories.
Yes.
Yeah.
You will find them.
So
Jeremiah
the-
Daniels
motion
and
picture
David
categories.
Fortune.
Mhm.
So the exact titles of the category is Outstanding Performance by a Youth in a Motion Picture, Jeremiah Daniels, and Outstanding Breakthrough Creative under Motion Picture, David Fortune.
So if you go to motion picture, you'll find all of them.
Yep.
Yes.
So I had more questions. We got about 10 minutes. I had more questions.
I'm down for it. I'm down to engage. How long y'all need me?
10 minutes.
Well, you know what? As I was watching the film, the music was so amazing. And it's interesting, as I was watching with the black and white and with the music, I got a Spike Lee feel. I got a Spike Lee feel. So I was wondering, did in any way, shape, or form, did Spike influence any of the way you shot the film and the music selection of the film? And I really loved the Roy Ayers trick. That was beautiful. I'm 58, so when you threw that in there, I was like, okay, see this brother know what he's doing. This brother know what he's doing. So can you talk about the music and just the overall where did the feel of the film come from? Because again, I got a little bit of a Spike Lee type of feel, especially in the opening scene.
Yeah. So so Spike, I would say he's an indirect influence. Just by me being a Black filmmaker coming up from the inner city, you're naturally influenced by Spike, whether you know it or not. Like he's in you, whether you're referencing his work or someone else's. Like Spike will always be someone who is, in my blood vein. I come from his tree because, growing up, I didn't know Spielberg, but I knew Spike Lee. He was our Spielberg growing up in our neighborhood, in our community. He was our Michael Jordan. Like Spike Lee is that dude. The references I leaned into was actually photography. And one photographer that was a vital part of my visualization of color book was Gordon Parks.
I knew it. It was giving tree all over the place.
Yeah. Gordon Parks, his photography, his directing work, all played an important parts into how I want to capture and visualize the relationship between Lucky and Mason. His documentation of, Southern families in black and white and his honoring and his beauty of those homes was something I wanted to reflect in color book. So while I was on set, every day before I stepped onto the shoot, I would say, how are we trying to create images? And I will always pretend that like approach this as if you're Gordon Parks. And I love doing that with myself. That made it so much fun. It's like shoot this film like it's Gordon Parks shooting a father and son journey for one day. And so I really leaned into that. And if you actually listen to a lot of Spike Lee interviews, he's actually really influenced by Gordon Parks himself. So we both come from the same tree of Gordon Parks' visual language. The music, when you look at like She's Gotta Have It, it has this, old school trumpet, jazz flair to it. And that's the type of music me and my composer, Dabney Morris, will listen to. So we drew inspiration from, jazz, blues, and those are the type of musicians or musical approaches Spike Lee has in his films. And so She's Gotta Have It, when you listen to the score in there, is like that's a reflection of like what we placed in color book. So me and Dabney Morris, we really leaned into jazz and old school themes because we felt like we wanted this to be timeless, right? And there's nothing more timeless than jazz. I don't care what anyone says. Nothing more timeless than blues. And we wanted that to be reflected into the blood vein of Color Book. We didn't want to have too much score in the film. We just wanted it in the right places. We didn't want end music. We just wanted it in spaces where it's like we can exist, we could settle in the score, and when it was over, we got a chance to walk away with our characters. And that was kind of the musical approach to the film.
Yeah. Okema?
I think that, like I said, when I was watching it, I definitely got the Gordon Parks energy. Like I said, it was giving me, it's giving tree. But I love that you kind of dug in the crates, but then still lived in the modern day.
Yeah.
Being able to, again, it's the dichotomies that live in this film.
Yeah.
That really give it the texture and the depth that it has. And, congratulations to the both of you and to your cast and your crew for making something beautiful. I'm excited. I'm just waiting for the distribution announcement whenever that's going to come.
We speaking that.
Yeah, we are speaking it, writing it down, working on it.
Yes. But that's the other piece. It is my hope that these distributors give the respect of what this is to understand that the audience is more adept to what you're giving and selling and showing than we are often given credit for. A lot of distributors feel like if it's not fast and splashy, right, that it's not worth the funds, but not just the funds, the push.
Yep.
And so, my word to the sales agents out there that are touching this and to the distribution personnel that are out there that will touch this is we're smart. You don't have to hold our hand through this. You don't have to walk us through it. We don't, everything is not Bad Boys 4. God bless them, but everything is not the fastest car chase and the littlest top. This is a film about family, and whether you are a Black family with a special needs child, a white family with not a special need, and listen, every child has special needs at some point, child. You know what I mean? Like, but whatever type of family that you are, whether you are a traditional nuclear family, a same-sex family, whatever type of family, a chosen family stitched together, it is a piece that can be honored and appreciated by all folks, queer, heteronormative, Black, white, and everything in between. So I am claiming for you the right space and place that will honor your work, promote your work, market your work, give you not just the streaming space, but at least a limited engagement in theatrical, so you can be nominated for the other things.
Yes. Yes, we claim that.
Yes. We receive that.
I just want to say that out loud because a lot of times the sales agents and the distribution folk feel like we have to be, as an audience, walk through things or handheld. If it's not, we don't. We don't. We like genteel just as much as we like loud and fast and loose. It's fine. Give these people their things.
Yep. And I'll say one of the more beautiful experiences is actually taking this film, throughout the film festival circuit and having it touch different audiences and knowing, it works for everyone.
Yes. Right.
Like, we played it.
Because your Berlinale audience is not your Tribeca audience. Is not your Austin Film Festival audience. It's not, but y'all wanted all of them.
And we first got a taste of that when we took it to France and at Deauville American Film Festival. And it won, the Critics Prize there, but the audience loved it just as much. And recognizing that, this film about these two small souls in Atlanta, Georgia, could translate and have impact in a different country that speaks a different language.
Because it wasn't about two small people; it was about two small souls. Therein lies the difference.
And another thing is, it's about the reason that it is resonating with people, regardless of where they are in the diaspora or where they are in the world, is this: it's about connection.
Yes. Yes.
That is it in a nutshell. The film is about connecting. And again, like you were saying, Okema, oftentimes these distributors want to bang us over the head with things. And sometimes you just want to sit down and let it be a slow burn.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? You just want to sit back and say, okay, I just want to watch something unfold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But see, the thing about it is our non-melanated counterparts get to have slow burns all the time.
Absolutely.
But they also get to live a life where they can just be. They don't have to think about all the other things. And so because that is their existence, they also give room for that in their cinema. They know that we do not live that life. And so I think all the time they think that we're supposed to put the disadvantage that we don't live the just be life on our cinema. And it's not, you know what I mean? Like cinema is what we want just as much as is what we are. So like, it's okay. It's okay, y'all. Get them their money.
Yeah.
So what's next? What's next for Kiah Clingman and David Fortune? What's next, guys?
Well, you just spoke on a huge part of what's next, seeking distribution for the film. And so thank you for all of the words of encouragement, because that is our biggest priority for Color Book right now, alongside making sure that, you know, the festival circuit has been amazing, but we're also building out a robust impact campaign to make sure that, you know, different communities are afforded an opportunity to see this film. And we're working with the Down syndrome community to make sure that we can curate these, you know, screenings for the community who we made the film for. Right. So, so that's Color Book's agenda. And then, you know, I think we're indie filmmakers, so I have my hands in, you know, other films, and I'm really proud at the progress of my short film, Her Pretty Vagina. Yeah. A very different story than Color Book, a dark comedy inspired by my struggles with endometriosis and HPV. And I'm very close to assembling or locking my cut. And it's been great. It's been a journey, and I'm lucky I've been able to learn from other incredible collaborators that have worked on Color Book, including David. And I feel like that has made me a better filmmaker and director. So, yeah.
Pretty much for Color Book, everything that Kiah has mentioned, you know, thinking about the impact campaign, having those beautiful screenings within the community, but then, you know, claiming that Color Book will, you know, get theatrical release. To bring all communities together to embrace and watch this film. So we're claiming that, we're receiving that, and we're anticipating it. Yeah. For myself, on my personal end, is getting back writing, getting back on that horse, and pretty much, you know, going on another journey, you know, telling different stories and exploring different themes and also genres. You know, so Color Book is my first one, but it's not my last one. And so, you know, getting back to that writing mode and, you know, final draft, spending those late nights diving into characters, and sometimes not even writing, but just thinking about characters, thinking about people, thinking about emotions and what you want the audience to feel and the experiences that you want them to go through. So I'm in that creative space. And it's one of the most beautiful experiences I'm having, because now I get to build off from what I started with Color Book and expand. So I still have a love to tell indie films, but then thinking about, what do I want to make 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And how do those same themes I have in Color Book applies to those future projects? So that's where I'm currently at now.
Are we going to see you in episodic at all at some point, sir?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's going to happen. We claiming that too. We're claiming that too. So television directing is something I want to get into, or I'm planning on getting into, because I think there's a space for directors such as myself who, you know, who's looking to tell stories in that, you know, type of creative space. So episodic television is something, you know, that's in the plans and in the works as well.
Have you applied to the half initiative yet?
Haven't applied to half initiative.
Get on it.
Get on it.
Get on it.
All right.
I say that because it's a rolling application. And so
Okay.
being that this is done so well for you and it's a feature, it wouldn't really be in my mind, it's not rocket science for you to get into one of the initiatives and get on some shadows, because that's what they do. They toss, you know, Haria just finished doing, I can't say the show, but yes, get on
it. All right. I'll take your word for it. I'm on it.
And I did include our social media for the film, and then also David and my personal social media as well. But really, if y'all want to keep up with us, please follow at Color Book Film. We are constantly posting and giving updates about the journey of Color Book.
And your socials.
Yes, I did send those in the private chat as well.
Oh, no, we want you to
say it. Yes.
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
Well, mine is at Kiah.Alexandria, KIAH Alexandria, ALEXANDRIA.
Yes. And mine is at by_Dave_Fortune, FORTUNE. So Kiah's on Instagram more than I am, but if you shoot me a DM message, I will respond and connect. So I'm all.
I can confirm that. Make sure that you all out there are following their socials independently and the Color Book Film social. Make sure that you all are going to vote.naacpimageawards.net and voting for all of us.
Yes.
Make sure that you all are also standing in the gap. Right now, we are working under some intense opportunities for us to not have the things we want and need, to not be represented in the spaces that we deserve. Mm-hmm. And so if I know anything, I know the word says that the power and the words of the people can turn the heart of the king. Ooh. So what I need y'all to do is to stand in the gap, keep the prayers going, keep the outspoken, but kind things going, because it's enough of that other stuff. Yeah. And Color Book really lives in a space of love, no matter what. And love, despite the discomfort, love despite grief. We all are grieving as people of color in this country, queer people of color, all the things. So just continue to verbally stand in the gap for them, for us, and support these filmmakers, because, you know, you guys consistently say y'all want to see more of us and more of our stories. We can't ask for the things and then not utilize them and then wonder why they go away.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
So vote.
All the votes. All the votes.
All of it.
All of it. Just go into the motion picture section and you'll see all of us. Just vote.
That's fine.
Yes.
Well, this has been absolutely an amazing conversation. Yes. And there were so many questions that I didn't get to. So you guys are going to have to come back after you get the distribution.
Once y'all win the award,
you're going to
get the distribution package. Then we'll have you back, and Floyd can ask all the rest of the questions.
Because I had a lot of them written down, but that's okay. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been such an amazing conversation with the amazing Kiah Clingman and the phenomenal David Fortune, and my absolutely amazing co-host Okema T, who adds so much to this show. She just makes me so happy. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope that all of you who have tuned in tonight and will be tuning in the future enjoyed this show. Please make sure you listen to it 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Make sure that you vote, share it. And, you know, I'll just end everything like I always end it. Love it like a hobby, but treat it like a business. And on that night, everyone, have a phenomenal, phenomenal evening. Peace.
Don't leave.